I'm Craig, and I have never played the elevator game.
I'm Shandi, and you can bet your sweet bippy I would be pulling a psychic up out of her bed to find my murderer.
I'm Kylee, and I would not go to buy a meat grinder, asking for a big meat grinder after I murdered somebody.
Oh.
And this is Seance with My Siblings, Spooky True Crime Edition. Ooh. This episode contains descriptions of murder, death, violence, and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. So today, I'm talking about a crime that happened at the Gunter Hotel in room 636.
I thought you were about to say 666. I was like, oh.
No, pretty close though. 636. The Gunter Hotel has stood in the same spot in San Antonio, Texas, in some form or another since 1837. It's an old boy. The hotel was closed to the public and used for military offices in 1846 to 1872 for the post-Mexican War. And then during the Civil War, when it changed hands between the Union and Confederacy multiple times. Over the years, it's gone through a lot of redesigning and renaming. It was known as the Settlement Inn, the Frontier Inn, the Vance Hotel, and the Mackney Hotel.
The Vance Hotel.
The Vance Hotel, yeah.
Huh. I wonder if any of our ancestors
Maybe.
owned it.
Maybe.
The building was eventually razed and rebuilt as the Gunter Hotel in 1909.
All I can think of is Ice King and his penguin Gunter.
Cute.
It was reportedly named for an investor who died during construction.
Oh.
At the time, it was the most extravagant hotel in Texas. I am having a hard time with words.
Words are difficult.
Words are.
It was also the tallest building in San Antonio at the time. The hotel housed presidents, musicians, and actors, but its most famous guests are the ones that never checked out.
Ooh.
Because this is a spooky podcast, this hotel is like haunted to the teeth. So I'm going to mention a couple of other ghosties before we dive into the main event.
Nice.
The Gunter Hotel is home to Ingrid and Peggy, two noisy and but friendly spirits that have a rivalry between each other.
That's hilarious. Sorry, guys.
Shadow's making noises. Sounds like she's gnawing off her leg.
So Peggy,
Ingrid,
and they have a rivalry.
Yeah.
They want to be the prettiest girl at dance.
They do.
I'm going to be the prettiest girl at the party. They're fond of throwing things at each other,
That's
slamming
hilarious.
doors, and occasionally tugging guests back and forth between them.
Ooh,
I would love
interesting.
for that to happen to me.
They also enjoy a good party and are especially active during them, and Ingrid is known to photobomb unsuspecting guests.
We're
love
having a
this for
party.
us.
Yes.
I love parties also.
We need to get photobombed.
Robert Johnson, the famous blues musician from the 1930s, haunts room 414. He began recording sessions. Oh, wow. Robert Johnson began the first recording sessions of his career in room 414 and died only 2 years later at the age of 27 under suspicious circumstances.
Ooh.
So murder. I was just listening to a podcast about him and how he went to a crossroads and made a deal with a certain fella.
Yeah. Also, have you guys seen Ghosts?
Like
The American version of Ghosts?
yes. Yeah.
Yes. There is a character, Alberta.
Oh, I love Alberta.
She is based off of this guy.
Oh, yeah, because she's a jazz singer.
She's a jazz singer
And
who
she was poisoned.
by alcohol of some sort. So he was potentially poisoned by whiskey.
By the husband of a woman he was having relations with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is what is speculated to have happened to Robert Johnson as
He
well.
fucked around and find it out,
Mhm.
and it killed him.
And it sure killed him because
Yeah.
poison does that.
Yeah,
Poison will do
that.
And finally, drum roll, please. The main event.
The main event.
Room 636. In 1965, a man named Walter Emmerich checked into the Gunter Hotel, room 636, under a false name, Albert Knox.
Ooh.
He enjoyed his time at the hotel in the company of an
I was
unidentified
going to say he was
blonde.
there to hook up.
Mm-hmm. All seemed well with them as they spent several days enjoying the hotel's accommodations. Here is where the accounts differ slightly. Whether there were 2 maids or only 1 maid that went to the room on the day of the incident.
Oh, okay.
So, on the day Emmerich was scheduled to check out, a maid went to room 636 and noted the do not disturb sign. She had known that the man was meant to check out that day, so she peeked her head into the room, only to find what looked like someone sleeping in the bed. So she left the room, closing the door quietly behind her, thinking nothing of it, and kicking herself for assuming they'd left the room already. So later that day, a maid removed the room's do not disturb sign after checkout time, thinking the guests had forgotten it on their way out.
Mhm.
Though when she entered the room, she found herself in the face of something from a nightmare. She found Emmerich sitting on the bed, surrounded by blood splatter on every possible surface. According to the maid, he then raised a finger slowly to his lips and shushed her.
no.
Oh.
The maid, horrified by the sight, screamed anyway, and Emmerich
Appropriate reaction.
Mhm. Emmerich rushed out past her, holding a bundle of bloody sheets.
Oh.
So the part where it differs is either the first maid that came and checked and saw someone sleeping in the bed
Mhm.
the first time. A few days later, Emmerich checked into the nearby St. Anthony Hotel under an alias, specifically requesting to stay in room 636 there as
Mhm.
well.
no.
He is not the sharpest tool in the shed.
As with a lot of murderers, that will happen.
Yeah. And like in a lot of cases, they like to hang around the
Yeah, the scene.
scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did that for a little bit. So he checked into the St. Anthony Hotel under an alias, specifically requesting the same room. The room was taken and Emmerich became angry but settled for room 536 instead.
And so, like, underneath it.
Right underneath it. After days of investigation and retracing the steps of this so-called Albert Knox, the alias that he used to check into the Gunter, police stumbled upon evidence revealing Mr. Knox to be Walter Emmerich, a 37-year-old unemployed accountant. The police had been following Emmerich's spending leading up to the event and discovered that this was not the first time Emmerich had become angry when he didn't get what he wanted. He had an argument with an attendant of a store because they didn't carry a large enough meat grinder to suit his needs.
How dare they not have a human-sized meat
Oh my
grinder?
God.
How rude and unthoughtful of them.
Accounts vary on this as well, which whether it was premeditated or if he'd done it afterwards.
Mhm.
So it's even spookier if he had gone before trying to get a human-sized meat grinder.
Right. Instead of like an afterthought of like, oh shit, what
now
do
I
I
gotta
do
do
with
something
this
with the
person's
body.
meat suit?
Yes.
I've got a meat suit to dispose of.
Yes.
Sorry, no offense to the victim.
The police eventually caught up with him at the St. Anthony Hotel after staff had become suspicious and called the police. The story again differs only slightly from source to source. It is said that the police either entered unannounced, or the police either announced their presence and triggered Emmerich to pull the trigger of a gun and shoot himself before they could enter, or they did attempt to carefully and quietly enter the room without triggering him, but the sound of the key scraping against the door alerted Emmerich to their presence, and he shot himself then instead.
So, I was just listening to a podcast that was covering him.
Okay.
Not a haunting, but it was just a true crime story. He had stolen checks from his parents.
Yeah.
That's how they were tracking the money.
Yes.
Because he was forging checks.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. He did not have a good relationship with his parents.
No, he was
And
a
he
mean
was
drunk.
Yeah. And he had been discharged honorably from 3 different branches of service, if I remember correctly.
So he definitely has a personality disorder of some sort, I would say.
Emmerich did not immediately die from the gunshot, and the police rushed to him as he gasped for breath. They attempted to question him, asking him where the body was or for a name. Emmerich only coughed and wheezed and died under their scrutiny.
That selfish asshole. And maybe he couldn't talk.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. No substantial amount of the body was ever found.
That's so sad. And they don't know who she is to this day.
No missing person report ever matched the case or the description of the blonde woman that was seen with Emmerich.
Sadly, if she was a sex worker,
Yeah.
then it would be even harder. And back in the day, it's not like she was posting to Insta, and her family might not have reported her missing if she was doing sex work or estranged from them in any way, or they reported her missing in another state and they've never connected the dots.
Yeah. There was also a source that said that they couldn't find someone that matched that description because it was a man that was cross-dressing.
Oh, so they're not even looking for someone's correct, not correct gender. Who knows?
And they only speculated this because a lot of the money that he had been spending was at gay bars.
Oh, the plot thickens. Okay, so maybe he's only dressing as a woman so that they don't arouse suspicion of...
Yes.
Because what year is this in?
It was 1965, I think. Let me double check.
Okay, so it was...
1965.
I mean, not that it's safe now to be a gay man, because it's not always safe to be a gay person now, but back then it was even...
Yeah. It was even not more... It was words are hard. It was less safe. Even less safe.
Wasn't it in like the 60s and 70s, people were attacking gay men like openly in the street, just like mobbing them, beating the shit out of them? Yeah.
And the case remains open.
Right.
The amount of blood at the site suggests that somebody had clearly died in room 636. And long blonde hairs were found among the mess, as well as empty bottles of wine, olives, cheese, and small bloody footprints. They also found nylon hose and women's underclothing, as well as a shell that had been fired from a .22 caliber bullet on the bed. The slug was found lodged in the wall near a bloody chair.
So if it was a man, it was a smaller man.
Yes.
The footprints were small.
And everything in this case just seems to be like speculation because they don't know what actually happened.
And he's not saying anything. It's not like he said, "Dear diary, here is what I did." Like villains in a TV.
Yep. He didn't have a monologue. Trails of blood led back and forth from the bathroom, possibly indicating the murderer had made several trips to the bathroom for unbeknownst reasons. There was evidence of blood in the toilet, sink, and a rust red ring of it around the bathtub drain. Detectives believe the murderer to have dissected and washed the body of the victim in the bathtub before carrying them out in the sheets that... Did I mention the maid's name earlier? Her name was Maria.
Maria the maid.
Yes. Had seen him holding.
Poor Maria.
I know. Gosh, traumatizing.
Yeah.
Detectives further speculate that the body or what remained of the body was likely dumped in the concrete of one of the many fresh construction sites in the area.
As one does with body parts.
Yeah. Since the incident, there have been several accounts of not only the woman who was believed to have been murdered in room 636, but Emmerich himself haunting the room. Former staff member Jackie Contreras recalls an incident she had involving her and an apparition. One day back in 1990, she went to go check the room before important clients were to stay in there that night. When she opened the door, she found the room pitch black. She thought this was strange because the maids usually open up the curtains to air out the room and allow sunlight in. As she fumbled around for the light from the hallway revealed a woman standing in the room. Contreras says the woman was looking straight at her with outstretched arms. She described her as being very old and slumped over and pale as a sheet.
So like a la The Shining.
Yeah. Contreras ran out of the room and down to the front desk to ask if anyone had been staying in the room at the time. The attendants assured her no one had checked in.
So it wasn't a man, it was an old lady, and he had an old lady fetish. He had a guilt fetish.
Possibly. Or that's just how entity is appearing.
Because it's not even the victim. It's just someone farting around and scaring people.
Surprise, it's Ingrid.
Ingrid's like, look what I can do.
She's like, I bet I can scare them more than you, Peggy.
Yeah. Free grandma house.
Guests have also claimed to see a woman simply standing in the room, arms outstretched. Strange hammering sounds have been heard in the room, as well as uneasy feelings, being touched, feelings of anger, as well as guests having nightmares after leaving the hotel. Nearly 50 years after the murder, the hotel received a weathered envelope addressed to its old name and its old zip code, circa 1965.
Wow.
Inside, there was no message, only an original key to room 636 from the era of the murder, just before the switch over to key cards.
That's wild.
weird.
Was there someone else involved? Was there someone else out there that remembered these horrific events firsthand?
Ooh,
That is wild.
that is.
And they're like on their deathbed and they don't want people cleaning out their house to find this key that's been sitting in an envelope since 1965.
Yeah.
Scary.
Room 636 has been split into 2 separate rooms now. However, both parts of the room still seem to be active with apparitions and the unexplained.
Huh. Is that like entities see things as they were when they were there? Because sometimes people describe that.
Yeah,
Maybe as like more of a residual type energy.
maybe.
Sure.
But
I
yeah,
don't-
like you were
who
saying,
knows?
like if they see it the same way they saw it, that's why like some ghosts walk through walls.
Mhm.
Because there used to be a hallway there.
Right. Or they're like 2 feet above the floor because there used to be whatever there. Or
they added
Ooh.
a second story.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
etc.
yeah, tons
Yeah.
of reasons. Or if
Wild.
I hope it's just residual. I hope
Yeah.
no one is there that doesn't want to still be there
Uh-huh.
trapped in a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
I have a personal theory. This is not the truth.
This is
It's
Kylie's
theories. I don't think that souls can actually get like
trapped. Right.
Yeah.
I like to think that too.
Yeah.
Like it seems like Ingrid and Peggy are there because they want to be.
Mhm.
Like the party's not stopping
Yeah.
until they're ready for the party to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, they're going to parties. They're having their fun little rivalry. Like they
That's-
don't sound mean. They sound like
No.
they're
having a great time.
having a great time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of the negativity is residual,
Mhm.
and I think emotions can leave a lot of
Oh,
impact.
definitely. Well, why do you think the maids come in and open the blinds and let air in and do like that's a sort of cleansing? Yeah. Like you can feel when someone is angry in a room and they leave and you walk in and you're like, oh,
Ooh.
gross. What is
Mhm.
happening in here?
But the murderer person might be going back there for shits and giggles because
Yeah.
that was the best area of their life.
Right. That's when they finally carried out their fantasy of murdering and meat grinding.
Mhm.
Some
People.
people's children.
Some people's children. Anyway, that is the case of room 636 at the Gunter Hotel.
I loved it. Thank
Was
you.
spooky,
Well, I mean, I
thank you.
didn't love that someone died,
Yeah.
but I love Ingrid and Peggy. I really want to meet them.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to this hotel.
Let's go to this hotel.
They stay on the second floor.
Let's stay on the
go
second
Yeah, let's
stay
stay on
on
the
the
second floor.
We'll go up and wander past 636
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
pay our respects to the
Yes.
unnamed victim.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is so
is.
sad.
I hate that. I hate when we can't like give them back their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty.
Okay. So today I am talking about Ashley Howley. And the whole time I'm researching, I keep typing in Amanda. And I'm like, her name is not Amanda.
Who are you? I'm Amanda.
I was-
I'm 6. The hell?
Rip.
I'm sorry, the intrusive thought.
It's okay. I just hate when I don't know what
It's
you're
a TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what it's from though? Like,
I'm not sure. I think it's like a commercial for like, do you know who your kids are talking to on the internet?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, the
Sorry.
the victim in this story's name is Ashley, and she disappeared from Columbus, Ohio on June 16th, 2004. From the jump, it seems law enforcement and her friends and family did not think she just left for a fresh start. So everyone was like, no, she's been murdered.
Ooh, yikes.
She had called law enforcement earlier that day, the day that she disappeared, and reported that her boyfriend had physically assaulted her.
Ooh.
There are no details I could find about how she was killed. One detail I could find was that when her remains were finally found, she had been encased in quickcrete. And I found this in 2 different articles, but not every article has this detail. The reporting on this case by local reporters is abysmal. Some reports say that there was only a break-in that Ashley reported, but it was by her boyfriend. Like, she knew who had broken in, if it was a break-in. And other reports state that she called law enforcement because her boyfriend had assaulted her. And now I'm thinking, did he break in and assault her? Anyway, there are no accounts of how badly he hurt her when she called law enforcement the day she disappeared. And he was not taken into custody, which blows my mind. Either in this area in 2004, people were not arrested for domestic violence, or maybe Ashley didn't want to press charges. But either way, even today, if a case like this happens, they separate them and they take one of them away to jail or something.
Yeah.
Either way, the man she was dating murdered her that day because he wasn't arrested for either doing a B&E or assaulting another human. So, had he been taken away, he wouldn't have killed her that day. I mean, maybe he would have killed her a different day.
Yikes.
Because this guy is not a good... He's a dipshit. He's a horrible piece of human filth. Anyway, Ashley wasn't about to let that fucker get away with murdering her.
She shouldn't.
Yeah. Ashley is a badass. And it seems like no one reported her missing for quite some time after. Finally, her mom reported her missing. So, the time frame from the shoddy reporting is hard to piece together from when we know she went missing that day, June 16th, 2004. We know, allegedly, for sure, but she wasn't reported missing for a while after. I mean, and she was 20. She was out on her own. It's not like she was with her mom all the time and talked. So her mom finally did report her missing. I'm not sure when. But I also found it odd that neighbors, she lived in an apartment. She had neighbors. Neighbors didn't report anything. They found her abandoned car at a store nearby her apartment. And that,
nobody was like,
And she had a job. I don't know for certain what it was. I could not find anything about Ashley and her life. And that pissed me right the fuck off. No one took the time to say anything about her. And I'm not blaming the psychic. There's a psychic that helped in this case. And I'm not saying this is her at all. I think she's a lovely human. And she did so good by Ashley. She had Ashley's back. The reporters sensationalized the fact that there was a psychic, and Ashley just kind of got laid by the wayside, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about her life, and I'm sorry. I tried very hard to find it. One article I read so many poorly written articles for this by local reporters. You guys suck. And in one report, and only one, so this might be all fucking lies, and I apologize if it is, they said she was working as a stripper. And I'm like, well, where were the other people she was dancing with? Why didn't the club report her? That's one of their people. Why didn't they report her missing? If you don't show up to work, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Especially in that scenario where she has a violent boyfriend. If I were a bartender at a strip club, because I'm too old to be a stripper these days. When I was young, I should have been. Anyway, if I was a bartender there, I'd be like, okay, we have got to keep an eye on our dancers. We have got to make sure everyone is safe. Where are they? If someone doesn't come to work, you better bet we are going to be worried, and we are looking into it.
Yeah.
Because why aren't
they
at work?
knew about the violent boyfriend too. So it's
or if we know they are struggling with substances, if we know they're struggling in any way, we're going to go check on them. We're going to make sure our friends and coworkers are okay.
Right, yeah.
So everyone, make sure your people are okay. Anyway, So there is like nothing in the news reports about what happened to her that day. They never, I guess, got a real confession from the man who murdered her. He never said, this is how I did it. He never, like, there's nothing about what happened to her. And the psychic didn't report. Anyway, I'll get to that. Okay. Da-da-da-da. So here we go. Gotta fast forward through my writing. Okay. So talked about all that. Okay. So Ashley, though, would not be ignored, and she found a psychic to help her. The psychic is Christy Robinette, and from my research, she still works as a psychic and a healer. Christy reports Ashley came to her in several dreams. The initial dream, Ashley told Christy her name, like her full name, I think, and that she had been murdered. And Ashley showed Christy, the psychic, pictures of where her body was.
Ooh.
So it was like some very specific light-colored pine trees. And I'm not sure for this area if that is abnormal to have pine trees on your property. I don't know. I don't know anything about Columbus, Ohio. And she was found, I think her body was found in another town. But, so Christy woke up and started Googling, and she found an article about Ashley's disappearance and about how they couldn't find her. And that, like, they were looking for a body. Like, they knew she had been murdered. So she went to the police in Ashley's area and told them what she knew. And for law enforcement's part, it seems they took her seriously. And they had brought cadaver dogs to the murderer's father's home and property, and that man, the father of the murderer, gave them permission to look around and stuff.
Okay.
But they didn't find anything, and the cadaver dogs didn't hit on anything.
Okay.
And so, however, the area that the psychic is describing is right next door to the father's property. So this motherfucker and bury this poor woman on the neighbor's property.
Yikes.
And so that put a holdup in the case and finding her, because they had to get warrant and all of the right things to be able to search this neighbor's property.
Right.
Yeah. And this is like an undeveloped piece of land. It's just land, rugged terrain, trees, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so they did not find Ashley's body until 2008. So she passed away in 2004, and her body was discovered in 2008.
Okay, so it's been a
my
minute.
God.
So, and there was just like roadblocks, lack of evidence, just nothing was going right. But Ashley did not give up. The psychic did not give up. The psychic actually went, and I don't know if she had permission, whatever you got to do, girl, but she went and found the spot that Ashley was murdered and went to the police and was not murdered, where her remains were laid to rest. She found it and went back to the police and was like, she's right here. Mm-hmm. If you dig for her, you will find her right here, which they did.
Okay. How long after her death did she come to the psychic?
That part is also kind of hazy. Okay. It was, I think, not directly after. Time had elapsed. I think at least a year or two. Okay. Yeah. So this whole thing from beginning to end was from 2004 to 2008.
Okay.
And she came to the psychic, and she came a few different times, and the psychic didn't give up. She kept trying to help her. Like, she got in her car and drove to the spot and found it.
Good for her, yeah.
So, like, the psychic's awesome, reporters not awesome.
Mm-mm.
Okay. This didn't lead to much at first. Okay, so the officers did go out and search the area again, and they got permission again from the man's father, which it sounds like the dad completely cooperated with law enforcement and was supportive of their investigation. Good. Obviously.
Yeah, that is.
Okay. Okay. So the case, oh, geez. Okay, so the psychic Christie went to the place where Ashley was buried before law enforcement could, as they had to get permission and search the property correctly. Getting access to the property held up the investigation and the discovery of Ashley's grave. This case gets even worse.
Oh, no.
So, in the same time frame as police finding Ashley's body, this piece of filth was already locked up and awaiting trial for a double homicide.
Oh my gosh.
This monster had murdered his own mother and her partner.
What in the shit?
And in some reports it says that they were married and it was his stepdad. So this guy broke in and robbed and murdered his mom and stepdad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 10 WBSN reported on his trial. It seems he got offered a plea deal to take the death penalty off the table. In return, he gets life in prison without the possibility of parole. And I found it odd that they had tried all the murder cases together at the same time.
That is weird.
Isn't that weird?
Because I feel like they
should be separate. Like 3 separate trials.
Yeah. So because it would be 3 counts of murder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But since the
as we've
murder,
already-
yeah, the murder of the mom and stepdad took place at the same place and time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Ashley is completely unrelated to this murder, this double homicide. So that I thought that was super odd.
That is
they
weird.
just lumped it all together. Because they found Ashley's body right in the same, like, very close time frame to when he got arrested and jailed and held without release or bond or whatever for murdering his mother and her partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeepers.
So Ashley had a psychic that wouldn't give up and the universe on her side as her remains were discovered in the same time frame as when this monster killed his mother and her partner and was already locked up. So they already had him in custody. They didn't have to find him.
Okay.
It's like everything
Good.
came together
Yeah.
at the right time to get this monster locked up forever.
Yeah.
Good.
I wonder if it had to happen like that,
Maybe
or else he would have.
Maybe they wouldn't have had enough to try him in Ashley's case, and that's why they lumped it all together. Because it sounds like, for somehow, this bumbling little shithead didn't leave a ton of evidence that they could be like, yeah, we don't have a body, but we have enough evidence that we know you killed her. There's enough blood. There's enough this. There's enough that she couldn't possibly be alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Good on the psychic.
Yes. Yeah. And I went to the psychic's website
Ooh.
and it looks really nice. And it looks like she does a lot of education around like healing, like spiritual healing and like helping yourself.
Okay. That's
So,
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Good on her. She did not give up. She did not let Ashley down. And now this motherfucker is locked away forever. And the courts did their job. And he does not there's no possibility of parole.
Good.
He is going to die in prison. Because you know he's going to murder again. He killed his own fucking
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
No, you
And-
can't just let
yeah.
someone go.
they do though.
They do.
They do.
That's
The
so
court
scary.
system
Is very broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every other system.
Yep.
Oh.
Yay.
So anyway, that is the case of Ashley Howley. And I wish I knew more about her to share her story about who she is. But I don't have it. And that sucks. And it just shows we need to focus more on remembering the victims in their lives and honoring them and not giving attention to the horrible people that take people away from their families.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now I will step off my soapbox.
All right.
I agree
I
with
like
your
that. Mhm.
soapbox. And Ashley Howell just being a human person is enough for her to deserve the respect for people
Yeah.
that have taken this
Very
very seriously.
much more seriously, and to not sensationalize that a psychic helped. And I'm not saying, again, I want to make sure everybody knows the psychic did not do that. She was not like, look at me. Like she wasn't
Right.
pulling a Sylvia Brown.
Right.
No, not even at all. She was just there to help Ashley. And the media took that and ran wild because
Yeah.
they are shits.
Yep.
They didn't even do a good job. Oh my God.
The media.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway.
Thanks for listening to
You're
that.
welcome. Thank you. Always love hearing, like, each episode. It's always just so fun.
It is.
Mhm.
All right, so I have here today the mystery of Elisa Lam. Have you guys heard
Ooh,
about
yes,
her?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
That freaking hotel.
That hotel is so haunted,
It's so fucking haunted.
which probably just adds to it. And like there are theories on what happened to her and just like a bunch of things. So, which I'll get into.
Yay.
So,
This is the weirdest case.
oh, it's
It is
so
so
weird.
weird.
so. Elisa Lam, a Canadian tourist who was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, suddenly went missing when her body was found in a rooftop water tank on the property like weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit on that.
People were drinking that water.
People were-
and showering in it. It's so horrible for everyone
So
involved.
gross.
That's how they
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
her, though,
Mhm.
is people were complaining about the water.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. So, on January 28th, 2013, Miss Lam, a 21-year-old student, checked into the Cecil Hotel with 14 floors, 700 rooms, located in a rough area of downtown LA known as Skid Row.
I was going to say, is it on Skid Row?
Skid Row.
Down on Skid.
And Skid Row is like famous for its often sketchy history that includes multiple unsolved murders, according to KNBC. Lam was on a solo trip at the time, and she planned to check out of the hotel on February 1st following a 4-day stay. According to Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, a Netflix documentary by director Joe Berlinger, Lam's family last heard from her on January 31st, her third day in the city. They reported her missing to the police the following day. Investigators looking into Lam's case obtained surveillance video from the Cecil Hotel From the Cecil Hotel.
Uh-huh.
Video was released by the LAPD. Shows Lam at an elevator possibly speaking with someone and the elevator doors failing to close. She then enters and exits the elevator and appears to be behaving oddly, which, if you guys
I've
watched the
seen this.
video, it's so
Yeah.
strange.
It looks like she is hallucinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I thought it looked like she was playing the elevator game a little
People
bit.
have speculated that.
Because she pushes, like, the buttons,
Mhm.
like, all in a row. She steps out, and then she, like, steps backwards and then
Mhm.
forward again, like, as if, like, trying to... What's it called? Kind of, like, trying to, like, follow specific directions to get this
Mhm.
supernatural thing to happen, I guess.
Right.
Is what it kind of looked like. And so she like stepped in the elevator and the door just like wouldn't close. So I wonder if like whoever or if there was someone she was talking
anyone,
to,
yeah.
if they're like holding the button or like who knows. It's just so odd.
Well, and that hotel's haunted as shit.
And the hotel is haunted.
So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
She may have been talking to an entity there. She might have been having a psychotic break from reality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities
Oh, yeah.
of what could, and it could be a mix.
Yeah.
Especially at that hotel.
Yeah.
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 So detectives were unable to determine what happened to Lam based on the video, and a subsequent floor-by-floor search of the hotel turned up to no trace of her.
Mm-hmm.
Weeks after Lam was last heard from, the hotel began to receive complaints from guests about shower water pressure, as well as discolored and foul-tasting water. A worker scaled a 10-foot ladder attached to the rooftop water tank, moved a 20-pound lid, and made a grisly discovery of Lam's body floating face up.
Can you imagine like the upper body strength you would need? Because
Like,
you're balancing
You're on a ladder.
ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to physically pick up and move.
Yeah.
20-pound.
Yeah.
I like
Dead
that
weight.
detail was provided of like the fact that they're on a ladder up on this water tank.
Right.
And
And
the-
high
top
up
of
on the
the
High
top
up
of
on
a
a hotel.
14-story,
Mhm.
14-floor hotel.
Yeah. And like lift this 20-pound lid, which is probably compared to just like the size of the lid must have been like on a
Big.
water tank. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's big.
big.
It's big.
A big lid.
Yeah.
And just like lifting that as like this 21-year-old,
I
which
couldn't-
may be adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
if she was like running from a murder or like trying to hide from something.
Right. If
Whether
she's
that
scared.
be if she was like having a break of some sort or actually trying to get away.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Even with adrenaline, I don't think I could do that.
Okay. Yeah,
People
no.
lift cars, though.
That's true. That is true.
The human
I guess it
body
just
is-
depends.
If,
Yeah.
if it was to save one of my kids,
Mhm.
okay then.
Yeah.
But if it was just to save myself, I'd be like, fuck, okay.
Like,
This
kill
is
me.
This is how I die. Looks like I'm haunting the Cecil along with everyone else.
All the other ghosts.
Nice. You got
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of friends.
Sweet.
So, Lam was reportedly naked and her clothes were... And the clothes that she was wearing that were similar to the one in the video were seen, like, in the tank, like, beside her.
So she undressed in the tank,
So
or someone
she-
threw the clothes in there.
Or someone threw the clothing in there. Which, yeah. And that she was, like, face up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, they're saying she drowned.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, when you think of someone, like, drowning, like, they're face down, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but as bodies decompose, gases build up, especially sitting there in water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe she
so
just,
that
like...
could have turned her
flipped,
over.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But I am not an expert. I am just speculating here.
No, that
Do
speculation
your
makes
own
sense.
research.
Mhm. So, yeah. Coroner ruled Lam's death was an accidental drowning. Police reportedly believe the student who was diagnosed with bipolar disorder for some reason hid in the water tank and drowned.
Mhm.
Through the years, multiple theories about Lam's disappearance have popped up, including one of the most common: she was a victim of foul play. Others believe supernatural activity may be to blame. The documentarian, big word, Berlinger, believed that, or like, however, notes that the conspiracies are more outlandish narratives and are incredibly, like, disrespectful, which, yes, okay.
I do think, though, in that area,
Mm-hmm. Because there
and
are
that
things.
situation, she's a solo female traveler. She is not American.
Mhm.
This is her first time visiting California, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I just
'Cause,
think
like, yeah,
maybe
she's
she didn't
student.
realize how dangerous
It could be.
just LA in general can be,
Yeah.
but that area specifically.
And she could have been, like, paranoid from, like, seeing all the, like, if scary things had
Well, and the
happened.
Hotel
like,
Cecil
with
is not
people.
a safe place
And that
to
too.
be.
Yeah,
not
it's on
like
Skid Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like they have good security, and the
Right.
people staying there, it's very budget friendly
Uh-huh.
if you get
And a
Metro.
lot of,
So
like,
a lot of people that are doing nefarious things,
Mhm.
dangerous people. I'm not saying that all people who are struggling with addiction are dangerous. That is not what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
the people dealing those substances can be.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not even saying all drug dealers are dangerous.
Right.
Okay?
People are just can
People
be
can be
dangerous.
dangerous.
Are just scary.
And if you are a small single female,
Mhm.
it's you're in a lot of danger most of the time.
Anyways.
Yes.
Anyway.
For real.
So foul play does not seem outlandish to me, but
Mm.
also bipolar disorder is a heartbreaking mental illness
Yeah.
to live with. It is a heartbreaking disease.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen anyone in an active manic episode. It is heartbreaking. Like, they are hallucinating.
Mhm.
They have, like, they're not sleeping. They're not eating. Their brain is going a million miles a minute. Like, it is
Mhm.
heartbreaking.
I didn't realize they, like, hallucinate.
Yeah. Really severe cases. Yeah.
Uh,
Not all people with
right.
bipolar
Mhm.
suffer from that. It is a heartbreaking illness, and it is a struggle. Like, and the medications are horrible.
They're
So
gnarly.
they're gnarly. They are.
Like,
So-
what do you mean by that?
They have lots of side effects.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
There's a side effect called tardive dyskinesia,
Mhm.
and it causes involuntary movements. Like, and it's a lot to do with, like, your mouth and your tongue moving, your hand, like involuntary blinking. Just there, I saw one woman, and she was like gyrating, and she's
Whoa.
just sitting there, and she can't control it. Like, how do you sleep? It doesn't stop when you're
Yeah,
asleep.
that's awful.
They do not sleep,
No, they don't sleep.
Oh.
But yeah. Anyway,
which does not
Oh.
help.
no.
Oh, I bet not. Oh.
Your
Especially
brain
when you're
needs
feeling
sleep.
You
poopy
need
and you
sleep,
don't get
yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
It's rough.
So, yeah, that's so sad.
So it makes sense. She could have been terrified. One of
And
her
having an
delusional
episode.
thoughts. And there's lots of delusional thinking if you are having a manic episode. Like, there's lots of religious delusions, a lot of like being pursued. Like, there's people out to get you delusions. Those are some very common themes that people will experience in their delusions.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Anyway.
But they shouldn't write off what happened to her
Just as
because
mental.
she's...
Because of,
Yeah, it shouldn't not be thoroughly investigated just because she is living with bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of times people with mental illness are overlooked because
And they
of
don't
that.
believe them.
Yep.
Your clients will tell you something, or they'll tell their doctors, they'll tell their loved ones, and they aren't believed. And then, like, there really was a man in their closet.
And then
yeah.
the family's like, oh no!
How could we have foreseen this happening?
Well, they fucking told you.
Yeah.
So maybe just check.
Just listen.
Yeah.
How hard
like,
is it to
geez.
check?
For real. People are wild. And
People are wild. And
so Amy Price, the hotel's manager at the time of Lam's stay, told the crime scene the vanishing at the Cecil Hotel told the crime scene the vanishing at the Cecil Hotel documentary that from the beginning she had a bad feeling about Lam's disappearance. She was traveling alone, and I really thought that she must have gotten mixed up with the wrong crowd, and that wouldn't be hard to do in downtown LA, she said. So, and like I said earlier, it did kind of look like she may have been playing the elevator game.
it did look like that.
A little bit, for
Mhm.
sure. And that also adds some of that, and like maybe she was like running from this whatever came from playing that game, which is also like another like side
Or whatever
occurrence maybe.
in her mental state she thought came from playing that game. Because people get freaked out when they play that game.
Yeah. Like playing Bloody Mary or like playing like any
paranormal game.
spooky game.
Or maybe something small happened and it triggered the response.
Right, that huge fear response. Yeah.
And I got the article was written by Aaron Rasmussen. So yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks.
Aaron.
Aaron. And yeah, that's what I have on the mystery of Elisa. Yeah.
That case just still, I'm like, what happened to you, honey? Like, what happened?
The video, it looks like the camera's really bad in the video.
Oh,
though.
yeah. Yes.
But it just looks like there's something like with her, I guess,
right.
kind of a little
and there
bit.
was no cameras up on the roof, right? Because like, why would you? At the water tank, why would you?
Right.
Right. All they have is cameras from
like the
elevator. And we're lucky, like, to be honest, we're lucky there was even that at that hotel that someone hadn't just broken them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they never replaced them because they would have to just keep replacing them.
Right.
Yeah. So that's just like all super weird in itself. There's just like so many factors that could play into it.
Right.
Right.
And I just, it irks me that we'll never know the truth. And a lot of the evidence, if there was foul play, a lot of the evidence, she was in water. It is not going to be there.
Yeah.
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 I wonder if anything like was missing from her room. I wonder if she was taking her medications. Was she medicated for her living with bipolar disorder? When you go off your meds, it's a scary time.
Yeah.
And even with all the like supernatural stuff around all this stuff and the mystery, the scariest part is that it was humans that did the murdering.
Yep.
Do you think she was murdered?
I don't know.
I'm so torn.
It
makes
same. The most sense.
Sure. Sure. Because I'm just picturing she was a petite gal. I'm just picturing, even with adrenaline, even with like kind of the strength that people get when they are manic.
Getting that lid.
Climbing up, getting the lid off, climbing in.
How did the lid close?
I don't know what the lid looks like.
I don't either.
I don't know.
If it's 20 pounds, it's probably not the wind.
Yeah. Yeah. I suspect foul play.
Same.
because she had a lot to live for. There's no,
Mhm.
from the research that I've done, because I've been obsessed with this case, there's no indication that she was suicidal.
Mhm.
I think there had been times maybe in her life, like she had definite struggles with depression, but in that time frame, there was no indication that she had any plans of ending her life. Like she had plans for the future.
Like, yeah, she was going to
She was a
student.
student.
She was
as a
like
student.
visiting like this place. Like,
She
yeah.
wasn't finished with her travels in
Mhm.
America. Like she had plans.
Yeah, she was like doing things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You never know.
You never know.
There we go.
Oh, you're holding up or pulling up the water tank. Holding up the water tank.
Holding up the water tank.
A video posted to the internet after Lam's death showed that the hotel's roof was easily accessible via the fire escape and that 2 of the lids of the water tanks were open.
Okay.
So that is, say, whatever was going on in her mind or whatever was happening to her that she was experiencing. If for some reason she thought she needed to escape and she went up the fire escape, went onto the roof, if the lids were already open, that would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And maybe, like, how do you get out of a water tank after you fall in? Is there
Right.
a ladder inside? Like, how does that happen?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that might have been, you would just drown. Like, there's no option.
Yeah.
Like
Like when you
fall
take
in.
the ladder
But
out
also,
of the pool
like-
for The Sims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
awful.
God.
Sorry,
That,
No,
sorry,
that's-
no disrespect.
yeah.
But yeah, like, how would she have
Would
gotten
she
out?
have put the lid back on, though? How did that happen?
It says they were open, so they didn't get put
okay.
back on.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
The hotel would probably like to say that they were never open and it's not their fault and they're not liable.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That
But
makes
if
sense.
maintenance or someone had carelessly left these water tanks open
Yeah.
to all the rats and birds and stuff on Skid Row, gross.
I was just wondering because in your story, didn't it say
It did say that he
had
lifted the
opened the
lid
28-pound
off.
lid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But like there are variations.
you never know.
So
Huh. Gee. So it was open when, and we don't know if it was open when she got there, but when
Uh-huh.
they found her, it was open.
okay.
So she did not close it.
Oh,
Because if you had
okay.
fallen in, there
Uh-huh.
was no way you could close it.
No.
Unless there was
Another
party
person.
and it was not
Motive.
closed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to
Mm-mm.
this poor woman, but it is heartbreaking.
It is.
And it's sad that there's just such a lack of evidence, a lack of
Like what actually
being
happened.
able, because she was traveling alone. There
Mhm.
was no one to piece together a better time frame. All they had was the footage from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks, Craig.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you. That was so much fun.
That was so much
do.
fun.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening,
If you
guys.
made it to the end, thank you.
Thank you.
After all our yapping,
And ramblings.
we have social medias.
We surely do.
Watch our TikTokies, please.
Take it to talk.
And check out our Instagram. Both of these are Seance with My Siblings.
At
Send us.
Gmail.com. Sorry.
Sorry,
Oh,
Craig.
wait.
Wait, fuck.
That's
sorry.
all right.
I was thinking something else.
But what is our @gmail.com?
Our at gmail.com is Seance with My Siblings, where you can send us spooky, scary stories.
Spooky
Mhm.
ghost
Spooky
pictures.
ghost pictures.
Yes. Tell us your spooky true crime.
Hmm.
Tell us all of your spooky accounts.
Mhm.
Every single one.
It's okay if they're spooky because of other people too.
Yeah.
And can we read them on the podcast?
Let us know.
Let us know,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.